Hi, welcome to Meadowell Studio Crochet Patterns. Today we're going to do a chunky bun hat, and I'm using Bernat chunky yarn number 6, but any equivalent will do. To start off with, make your slip knot. Now you have 3 options of your foundation chain. Number 1 is the traditional chain, one after the other. For ladies medium, you're going to chain 46. Now, another way to do your foundation chain is the method that I came up with. I do a lot of knitting, and it's a very simple technique. You just make your loop and twist away from you and make a chain. Twist away and make your chain. Twist away and make your chain. Twist away and make your chain. That's all there is to it. And that extra little twist gives you the extra length in between each chain, which gives it a bit of stretch. Now, the third option is to do a chainless single crochet foundation chain. So you make your slip knot and chain 2. Work the hook into the first chain and pull up a loop. Pull up another loop and through 2 loops. Now you've just created your first single crochet. At the very base of that, you'll see there are 2 loops. Put your hook through there and pull up a loop. Pull up another loop and through 2. You've just created your second single crochet. Go to the base of that, through the 2 loops, bring up a loop, bring up a second loop, and through 2. Base of your third, pull up a loop, pull up a loop, and through 2. Now, I like to think of it like learning how to waltz. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And just keep repeating that until you get to the end, until you have 46. Alright, so you've worked 46 chain. If you did the chainless foundation stage, then you will skip this step because you've already created your first row within that method. If you did a regular chain, just chain 1 and use that as your turning chain and single crochet to the end of the row, 46 stitches. If you used my method, first of all, I'll have you look at the chain and you'll see that on one side it looks very much like a regular chain, and on the other side you'll see the little horizontal lines in between each of the chains. Now you're going to use this little horizontal line as your guide to keep your chain straight, and you're going to be working into this side. So make your first turning chain. Look for that little line, the horizontal line, and you're going to work into the loop right behind it. And just keep repeating that. There's the line, work into the loop right behind it. There's the line, into the loop behind it. There's the line. And just keep repeating that until you've come to the end of the row. Line. Alright, Before we go on, I should probably mention that the pattern will say to join to the last chain of the foundation chain to the first chain, and that's what most people will be used to. But I like to work the first row and then slip stitch together. I find it, number one, is easier. Plus, when you go to join your two ends, it leaves a nice clean line. Anyway, so chain one, I'm going to skip over the join and single crochet into the next stitch. And then you're going to single crochet back into the join. Skip the next stitch and single crochet into the stitch after, and single crochet back into the skip stitch. Skip one, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet back into the skip stitch. Skip one, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the skipped stitch. Just continue that till you get to the end of the round. Alright, so you've come to the end of the round. You're going to look at your first two stitches. Here's the second stitch that comes back into the join, and there's your first stitch. You're going to slip stitch into the first stitch and chain one. Now you're going to skip over the join again and work into the next stitch. Single crochet back into the join. Skip one and single crochet. And single crochet back one. Skip one, single crochet, and single crochet into the skip stitch. Skip one, single crochet, and single crochet back into the skip stitch. Now if you have a look at the way the pattern is working out, you'll see that the diagonal line is right above the one from the previous row. So if you should forget where you are, just remember your diagonal line will be worked just as the one below. So skip one and single crochet and into the skip stitch, and just keep repeating that until you get to the end of the round. Alright, so you've come to the end of the round. You're going to look again for your two first stitches. There's the one that worked back into the join, and there's the top of the first stitch. So slip stitch into the first stitch, chain one, and repeat what you just did again. And you'll do that for 4 rounds for the hat. For the headband, you make it as wide as you like. You can make it 5 or 6, even 7 rounds. And if you're working the headband, I recommend that you do a final round of single crochet before you fasten off. So to continue for the hat, skip the join and work into the next stitch, and then work 1 single crochet back into the join, and repeat until you have 4 rounds of the 1 skip and 1 back rounds. Alright, so you finished your 4 rounds. So now you're going to do half double crochet rounds. Chain 1, work your first half double crochet into the join, and half double crochet all the way to the end of the round. Alright, so you've got to the end of the round. Work your last half double crochet, slip stitch to the top of the first, chain 1, Now you're going to skip the join and work into the next stitch and half double crochet to the end of the round. When you get to the end of the round, you're going to work the last stitch into the slip stitch and then slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. Alright, so you're at the end of your second half double crochet round. Work your last stitch into the slip stitch and slip stitch into the top of the first. Chain one. Now you're going to alternate again. This time you're going to start in the join, half double crochet in the join, and when you get to the end of the round, you're going to work the last stitch and skip over the slip stitch and slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. Alright, so you've come to the end of your third half double crochet round. Work your last stitch, slip stitch into the top of your first, chain one. So now you're going to work into your next stitch again. So you've started with your first round of half double crochet in the join, the second in the next stitch, third in the join, fourth in the next stitch. By doing this, you prevent the seam radiating to one side, so you have a nice clean line. So then when you get to the end of your fourth round, you will be working your last stitch into the slip stitch again and slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. At the end of your half double crochet round, work your last stitch into the slip stitch, slip stitch into the top of the first stitch, chain one. Now we're going to do a round of decreases. You're going to decrease every stitch, work your first into the join and the next into the second stitch. Decrease all the way around till you get to the end. Try to keep your stitches nice and snug to prevent any gaping holes. At the end of the decrease round, slip stitch to the top of the first stitch and chain one. So now we're going to do a repeat of what we did along the bottom here. So we're going to skip over the join and single crochet into the next stitch, and then single crochet back into the join, skip one and single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet back into the skip stitch, skip one, single crochet into the next stitch, and repeat until you get to the end of the round. Alright, so at the end of the round, look for your first two stitches and slip stitch into the top of the first. Chain one. Now this is going to be your last round for the bun hat opening. Some of you will want to use a hair elastic. The way to do this is to just work over it, place it along the edge, and work over top. So chain one, skip the join, and single crochet. Work one stitch back, keep that elastic there. Skip one, single crochet into the next stitch, and one stitch back. Skip one into the next stitch, and one stitch back. Now you don't necessarily need to use this hair elastic, because the hat without it will have enough of stretch that it will open nicely for your bun and will relax down a bit, so it will close up. But some of you, I know, will want to do it this way. So just keep working over your elastic until you get to the end of the round. At the end of the round, you're going to skip one stitch, work your last single crochet into the slip stitch, work one back, and slip stitch into the top of the first stitch. And that is all there is to it for the bun hat. And this is with the elastic. And as I said, the hat pretty much has quite a lot of stretch, so the elastic is not really necessary, but I know some of you will want to have that. So to work the hat without the opening, go back to your decrease round. So you have your first decrease round here. Just work decrease rounds until you've got a very small opening. So half double crochet into the join and into the next stitch, and decrease all the way around. So you've worked your second decrease round. You're going to do one more. Decreasing every stitch. And remember to try to keep your stitches nice and snug. Alright, so slip stitch to the top of your first stitch. And you will have very small little opening there. So cut your yarn and then just loop it around each stitch, pull it tight until it's closed up. And that's it. You have the closed top hat. You can add a pom-pom, which would be quite nice, or just leave it as it is, and that's all there is to it. Very simple, does not take very long to do, and because of this stitch along the bottom, that's a tighter stitch, so that will fit snug on the head as well, which is nice. That's it. Thanks for watching.